everyone, and welcome to our Snapshot Interview series for IEATA's 16th International Conference, Passport to Transformation, the Expressive Arts as Doorways to Healing, coming up very quickly, June 20th to 22nd at Endicott College outside of Boston. My name is Bridget Steed. I am one of the executive co-chairs of the IEATA Board of Directors, and I'm also on the conference committee. Really excited to welcome Dr. Haley Fuchs as our guest today. But first, before we sort of give the mic to you, Haley, I want to pass it along to my partner here, Sinem.
Thank you, Bridget. And we have been in this series nearly 3 months, and it's an amazing, moments that we are with facilitators and workshops. So today also we are we feel really privileged to be with Dr. Fuchs. And I'm Sinem from Istanbul, and I am an executive expressive arts and Gestalt coach and facilitator. And I'm integrating expressive arts internationally in corporate multinational contexts. So I'm also the IEATA conference committee member. We are going to welcome Dr. Fuchs. And please introduce yourself shortly and also your title of the workshop.
Okay, well, it's wonderful to see everyone. I'm Dr. Haley Fuchs. I have a long history of working in Intermodal Expressive Arts Therapy, beginning back when Paolo, Knill, and Sean McNiff were still teaching at Lesley University, graduated in Paolo's last core group there before he moved to EGS. And he and I co-authored that book, Minstrels of Soul, which is the topic that I'm using for my presentation. Actually, the title is 30 Years Since Minstrels, and I sort of look back upon my career, which has been diverse. I kind of consider myself a generalist when it comes to my clinical work. I've worked with lots of different populations. I've also worked as a clinical supervisor and a professor. And right now I'm in solo practice, have been for a few years, still doing all those different things, but always with roots in the expressive arts.
So you have a really rich and deep history with sort of the founders of the field, and I would consider you to be one. So this is really fascinating. Every creative process sort of has its blocks of sorts. And I'm wondering, is there any block that you've sort of encountered? And if so, what does that process look like and how did you sort of overcome that?
I like this question because it occurred to me that I've really never had any creative blocks. And I think it's because my stance is to always serve the creative process, the imaginal realm. I've had the good fortune of not having to create artistic productions for the music industry or the art industry. So I've never had to worry about those other agendas. I think often when people have creative blocks, it's because they're feeling like they have to balance inspiration with what other people want from them, even if it's only in their own minds. And so that's been a great freedom for me. I respond to inspiration when it arises and take joy in that and try to serve it as best I can. But with that, I've never tried to truly initiate or force or, lead a creative process. It's always been in a submissive kind of following stance.
I feel really amazed at the answer, and I thought that what's the tacit knowledge inside of that? Because sometimes, I don't know, maybe kind of a seconds we embrace the resistance or we embrace the blocks, or is there really none inside of when you let it be? It's really interesting for me.
That's also rooted in a primary principle of expressive arts therapy too, which is to let the art lead and to, stay with the image and follow what's presenting, as opposed to, staying in our heads and trying to make something happen.
And when I first saw your workshop names, 30 years after Minstrels of Soul, I was so struck by really how it is like to, after 30 years of these amazing milestones of the book, and I'm really curious what pearls of wisdom would you like to bring in to your workshop and the participants?
I guess two in a way. One is I think it's always useful to reconnect with the early masters of the field, particularly Paolo, Knill, who is such a strong influence on me. And I probably should say at that time, I changed my name a number of years ago. And so when Minstrels was written, my name was Helen Nienhaus Barba. So some people might know me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't do it anymore in our snapshots, but when I hear the Paolo and the founders of the names, I couldn't find myself to bring the cards.
We love a good name change.
Right. Lovely. So yeah, reconnecting with those roots, I think, is important. Reminding ourselves of those like basic principles that sort of connect us all haven't changed, even though there's great variety in the field. So that would be one thing. I guess the other thing would be just really inspiring people to reconnect primarily with the imaginal realm too, to find new inspiration there, and maybe walk away with a certain kind of pride in our field and gratitude for what the expressive arts has to offer the world.
So I'm wondering about your workshop then. Is it an experiential workshop? Will you be inviting participants to sort of come and interact with the imaginal realm as you just shared, or is it more a presentation? What is that going to sort of look like?
It really is going to be more of a presentation, a sharing, and it'll be, I'll be invoking lots of imagery for people, but really it'll be a time to kind of sit back and absorb and take it in and not have to engage directly as many other workshops offer. And that's a beautiful thing. I love IEATA conferences because of that. They offer so much engagement. This is an opportunity to sit back and just kind of listen and reflect.
Yeah, that sounds like a lovely invitation. I want to just listen to you. I want to know more, so I'm in.
And that reminds me the time with Paolo Knill when I was at EGS. So we had a class, Principle and Practice of Expressive Arts. So we really sit together in the circle around him, and we really listen the times when the Expressive Arts was born at Leslie, in that space. So it will be really interesting to hear the story in the different, sounds or, the parts. So it was the time I felt that what a privilege to hear from the first voice of the expressive arts was born and developed in India's. Exactly, you say it's a privilege. It's really a pride in us that I really feel that. Thank you.
Well, and I also think that in some ways my own thinking has evolved and departed in some ways. Not away from those basic principles, but in seeing other opportunities to apply expressive arts. And so there'll be some new things there too. It won't be simply a perfection.
So, Dr. Fuchs, Bridget and I really love to engage playfulness in our short snapshot series. And our question is, if you present your workshop without words, intermodal way, how could it be?
I feel like I just want to use gesture.
Thank you. So thank you for today, and it's a really privilege for us to be together with you, and I feel really excited to hear more about the story and the history and what's the new inside of that.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Fuchs. To everyone watching, check out IEATA's YouTube channel for our full Snapshot interview series. This is coming up very quickly, June 20th to 22nd, Endicott College in the US. And we will see you all there. Thank you so much for your time.
You're so welcome.